today, a kind of special material. I don't do this very often. We are about to get an analysis. I'll try to analyze the trailer that came today, and it's a trailer for The Witcher 3. Welcome everyone, my name is Gabriel, and welcome to the channel. I don't want to bore you with saying who I am and what I do. Just check out the channel, you can find out that on yourself. And today I'll be talking about The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt reveal trailer, as I like to call it. A trailer that came with the VGXs, this year's 2013 VGXs. First of all, I expected a little bit more gameplay out of this trailer, but all in all, I'm very satisfied on, in general, on what was presented and shown. So let's jump into it, shall we?
We have been here before. We watch your petty world slumbering. You cannot defy the call of the mass deal. You can only surrender.
I saw a long ship made of the claws of dead men. The wraiths drove everyone to the shore. My daughter too. No man who meets the hunt returns to this world. I returned.
First, we have the narration. The narration is started by a quote from the Wild Hunt, the wraiths. We finally know how they sound, which is a new thing for The Witcher. In The Witcher 1, there was actually a Wild Hunt character who showed during the games, but he was kind of on a side quest. He was side quest, basically. And he was important, but I don't want to spoil the whole game. We know how they look, that is the important part. I have to say, I like the design. They are very heavy, very dominant characters, black in general, and they don't look really like wraiths. They look like powerful dark force knights, I think. But the Hunt and the Hunt Raiders are fully armored. Those of you who played The Witcher 2 know who they are behind the armor. I don't want to spoil that to anyone who had not the pleasure of playing the second game. I would highly recommend that do that before you play Witcher 3. Then we know that they travel a little bit differently. They travel with a ship. And in the previous games it was said quite clearly that they travel by wraiths. By wraiths horses. Those horses are very and they sort of, they are like a big column of wraiths on the horizon, or at least somewhere in the skies. And this time they came with a ship, which is kind of a nice twist, considering how they were presented thus far. I have to say that the musical tune in the trailer is very nice. I can't actually say what kind of tune that is, but the general music, the music general in The Witcher was always nice. The guys behind the soundtrack of the second game, I don't recall their names now, sorry, they did a phenomenal job. Then we see Geralt. I think I'm a person who actually likes to see the details, to point out details, but I watched the trailer 3 or 4 times already, and I have to say I don't see major difference on how he looks, how he acts. His design hasn't changed since The Witcher 2. No, since The Witcher 2 it did change, but from the E3 trailer there aren't that many differences. Geralt's design was always a nice part of these games. He still has his swords. Of course, there are some things they won't eliminate from him. They only added, and those details are really fine. I won't go deeper into that. Finally, CD Projekt Red is coming back to what I call the Slavic-inspired spaces. If you ever been in Poland or in Poland countryside, you will find that it is quite similar. The villages, especially, they were present in The Witcher 1. They were not present in The Witcher 2, and this is a very familiar feeling, especially for those who read the books, where when we see Geralt traveling on the countryside, sorry, when he goes somewhere in the fields on a horse, and this is very nice. The village looks very like, late Middle Ages, I would say. It's alive, and what's very interesting is that no one actually pays any mind to the Witcher. Geralt is going through the village, and everyone around is just doing what they're supposed to do. We have a swamp finally. Very typical setting for the books. Geralt many times encountered or hunted the monsters in the books in such places like, swamp, or a very dark forest, or mountains, a cave usually, or some old ruins. This kind of feeling, this brings familiar feeling when I was reading the books, and I really liked this little flash when they showed Geralt on the swamp. Then there's the city. I wonder what type of city that is. I'm quite sure this is not Novigrad. Let's jump to the map, okay? And I will tell you where the game will take place, or at least where I suspect it will, considering they said that the game will feature the city of Novigrad and the specific islands. So let's go there. Okay, this is the map of the world, the Northern Kingdoms, as it was said here. Now, first of all, I want to point out that I have no idea what are the exact borders of the game's space. I can only assure you that since we know few things, I can tell you around where we will land. First of all, the Nilfgaard important part. In this corner, you see the Empire of Nilfgaard. This shows you where Nilfgaard is, and basically how far the Empire was able to reach. It reaches here to Sintra, to Yaruga River. Now, the major powers that we know in the north are Redania, Cadwin, Edirne, Temeria. Temeria is of course the important kingdoms. Depending on how you resolved your playthrough of The Witcher 2, these countries have rearranged themselves. The first game took place in Vizima, the second on the Ponta Valley. Now we know that the third one will take place in the Novigrad and in the Skellig Islands. The islands are present right here, so it is, I think it is we can positively say that somewhere around here, southern Temeria, northern Sintra, these are the places that we will visit, this part of the world. It is hard to say which exactly parts which cities we will visit. Some of them, remember, we are in the middle of a war. Some of them can be destroyed or under Nilfgaardian control at the moment. Well, that's basically the space we will visit. One maybe last thing, those of you who know, the first game took place, the very beginning took place in Cadwin in Kaer Morhen. That's far away to the north. Just on a side note. And yeah, that would be the map. Now combat. Combat was something really is looking promising. Very I fear that it's a little bit too action heavy for me when I see the montage, but it might be because the trailer is so short and they wanted to put as many features of the game as they wanted, as they could into this 1 minute of the material. We saw some new monsters, which is cool. One very Griffin type looking and flying monstrosity. Generally nice, but in my opinion, as I said, it looks a little bit chaotic. Generally, I was expecting a little bit more gameplay, like strict gameplay. We saw again a little bit of a montage of in-game montage, but yes, as I said, this is a trailer for the masses. This is for wider audience, and if you want to catch their attention, you need to have some sort of a compromise between what you want to show to the hardcore fans like me. I personally love the fact that they revealed the main antagonists. That is, of course, the Wild Hunt, and that's on one hand, and on the second, you need to, let's say, add a little bit of action to appease to people. When it comes to the whole VGXs in general, I liked few things, few mentions actually. I didn't watch it. I didn't watch the whole stream because it's middle of the night here in Poland, and it's very hard for me to actually stay for the 3 hours and just watch it. I don't even actually know who won the best game of the year now. The sole reason why I watched this whole thing was to see this trailer, or sorry, the only thing I actually wanted to see was the trailer for The Witcher. If you want me to extrapolate, to say something more, or want my opinion on the previous things that they released, look a little bit. You can find on my channel my audio blogs about the Witcher. You can also check out my LP of The Witcher 2, where I tried my best to also give a little bit of explanation on things that are in the game, and not everyone is able to grasp them for this very reason that the game is inspired by the books. There is tons of moments where in the games you find things that point to the books, and if you don't know about the books, if you haven't read them, or you had not the opportunity, because not every, as far as I know, 3 are translated to English. There's most of them were translated to Spanish, to Central European languages like Czech, like Russian, I think, as well. But English-speaking world had not the pleasure of reading those books. Some of them are, I'm quite sure that they do translate some of them. It's a work in progress. You have to check out someone who translated. There are also, as I think, there are also some translations from fans, but it's not always the same level of quality you would like to expect. Okay, so once again, thank you, and see you next time. That would be, yeah, I think today or tomorrow. See ya.